Wagwan, wagwan, wagwan. Yes, it's your boy LP Coach, and we are back. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Yes, as you can tell, a bit dejected by Manchester United and their performance today. Like, what is going on? I thought we had it. To be honest, the performance was not great at all, and it's worrying because we've got the likes of Ahmad and these guys in Buemo going to the African Cup of Nations. And again, I've come to accept the quality is just not there. Like the quality is just not there at Man United. That Heaven today, shaky, got early yellow card. Um, disappointing. Well, I'm actually speechless because it's just a realization. I say it's a realization today that I realized today that the quality is just not right there. The quality, just when you look at the likes of even Dorgu when he came on, when you look at the likes of who else didn't impress me today? Ugarte, Euro players, they really need to step up, man. And it's like for me, mate, like I said this before and I say it again, Man United need to go and make a signing in January. We need to make a couple of signings, and they need to be good quality signings because right now, Amarin, he's got us better, but there is a good chance that it can go downhill. And it won't be the manager's fault. It simply will be the quality of players. Some of these players are too young and they will get better as the time goes on at Man United. But currently, right now, for a lot of these players, it's not really. It's not quite cutting it. Like in the first half, it was kind of abject. West Ham was creating a couple chances. Man United was getting the ball very slow. And for Man United last couple of games, I don't know what it's been, especially we've got 1 week rest. The players seem quite tired. They seem quite slow. The tempo is not really tempoing right now. And it's an issue because, like I said, you got the likes of Ahmad and in Buemo going to the African Cup of Nations. And it's going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, Cunha came back today. Sesko, but even him today, Cunha really looks like he's trying to get back into swing of things. Sesko still to come back, but it is concerning. It is concerning for Manchester United today, considering that the form that you would have thought that the road that they would have been going on. Yes, Manchester United have clearly improved, but we thought, are they going to kick on and go to that next level? But it's clear to see where the level that Man United are right now is around that 6, 7, 8 spot. If we get fifth will be a big fourth. It's clearly possible, but the reason why I'm saying that if the signings are not made in January, it's going to be very, very difficult for Ruben and his men. As much as Man United has 17 shots today, a lot of Bruno, like I defended Bruno. I made a TikTok about him saying that he's not really wasted in that field, and I don't really feel like that was an issue today. I just feel Bruno wasn't just playing to his level. He had a few chances, especially that chance at the end where he could have won the game. Just very sloppy. I know he had a good strike come off the post earlier in the half, but I felt Bruno, he had opportunities. We can't say that he never had opportunities, and we've seen Bruno miss these opportunities when he is playing in his favorite position, 10 as well. So disappointing again from Bruno today. Dallo did play a bit better for me. Casemiro, for me, again, I have had question marks over the last couple of games. I feel like he is a bit sloppy, but his reading of the game and covering of that space and that experience is kind of helping Manchester United over that line. But the impetus and that tempo, moving and a little bit of creativity and passing it through them lines. Yeah, Casemiro, right now, he's not really doing it. He seems trying to play some passes and it's not really working. And for Nuno, it's a good point for him for West Ham. It seems like he's getting West Ham back on track. Obviously, he would have been happy to get a late goal from Asanga. I think it was his first start in 2 months for West Ham. West Ham starting to look like a team again, and obviously going to Old Trafford and coming away with a point, they will definitely be happy with that. And for Man United, like I said again, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. Yeah. Obviously, we got Wolves again on Thursday, on Monday, I think it is, and Man United have to go and win that game. It's disappointing. There's a chance for them to go and get closer to the likes of Chelsea, put themselves in a mix with the Arsenals and the Man Cities. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing. And one good thing about the festive period and this time in the Premier League is that games come thick and fast. So hopefully they can rectify it in the next game against Wolves and start getting some momentum back, because it's going to be crucial. These games Man United would have wanted to win, and then maybe in the Africa Cup of Nations, when we do lose these players, maybe we can use that as a bit of an excuse when we're going through maybe a bit of a torrid time. But if we're not picking up these points now, then brother, I don't know how it's gonna affect us when these men go. So it's a big concern for me. United must win against Wolves, and yeah, as you can tell in my face, I'm quite annoyed. But we move on from that. I want to talk about arguably the game of the season yesterday, Fulham versus Man City. Boy, what a game. Man City 5-1 up at half a time, but Fulham managed to get 3 goals back to make it a bit nervy for Manchester City in the last 10 minutes, but Manchester City managed to hold on. But look, 5.5 XG combined alone in that game. He had 9 goals, yeah. Arguably, like I said, goal of the season. Foden firing again, 2 amazing goals. Second finish right in that top corner. Absolutely superb finish from Foden. And Haaland obviously getting that goal. But it was Chukwueze coming on for Fulham. New summer signing for Valencia. Hasn't really got it kicking. And like I've been saying in previous videos is that these players now, you're going to start seeing a lot of them coming in because they're fit now. They're ready. A lot of them maybe transfers started a bit late, young players, injuries, all sorts and whatnot. So you see a lot of young players and a lot of new signings over the course of this period playing and having a contribution, as you saw West Ham earlier on today with their midfielder. But yeah, Chukwueze and Iwobi as well getting on the score sheet as well for Fulham. And they managed to get them 3 goals, but they also had a chance to get a level. A lot of people are saying that they should have won the game, but for me, if Manchester City are 5-1 at halftime, it's clear that Manchester City should have gone on and won the game and get the 3 points. But, bruv, like I said, what an advert for Premier League football. And it just goes to show you how difficult it is this season. And I'm going to move on to the next team I'm going to talk about. You can see anyone can beat anyone. Relegation team against the top teams in the Champions League can lose, can get struggle to go get 3 points. So, this season especially, you're seeing it. We've seen over the last couple of years, especially with the promoted teams, not managed to, well, Fulham not being a promoted team, but I'm saying with the lesser teams, not really managing to bridge that gap. But this season, it looks like there is very good competitive teams in the league that are giving everyone a shout. But Manchester City hanging on for that win, breathing down Arsenal's neck and managing to get the 3 points. But the game I want to talk about, because I was just talking about the relegation teams that manages to stay up, is Leeds. What a victory against Chelsea. Chelsea and Maresca, I've been saying it again and again and again. I was maybe doubting myself over the last couple of weeks if Chelsea going and getting victories against Barcelona and having the performance that they had against Arsenal. But I did say with this Chelsea and their model is that you're going to see inconsistencies in their team. And with Leeds, a promoted team, the second promoted team to beat Chelsea this season, with Sunderland being the first, and now Leeds with not a scrappy 1-0 win, with a convincing 3-1 win at home at Ellen Road. What are we saying for Chelsea? What's going on with this model? Looking a bit shaky. I told you one of the biggest things you're going to see, inconsistency. The red card for Casado has clearly had an effect to them. He wasn't able to get into the game. And one of the big things I want to say about Chelsea is the problem that they're going to arise in these situations is, I always said, is can these young players handle certain pressures? Because now the pressure of consistency, when we get into the latter part of the season, because at the start of the season it's all hunky-dory, everyone's fighting for points, everyone's fighting for fitness, everyone's fighting for form, cool, a lot of things are getting swept under the carpet. But now we're on the business end of the season, we're starting to come off, the FA Cup starts coming soon, we're going to reach the knockout stages of the Champions League, and we're going to reach the stage of the season where every point is crucial, every performance is crucial. And with Chelsea and the amount of quality that they got in that team, it is going to be difficult for them because of the ages and getting that consistency. And that's going to be the challenge for Maresca and Chelsea this season. But let's give a big shout out to Leeds. What a performance from Leeds. 3-1. What a beautiful goal from Tanaka. That was an absolutely amazing finish outside the box. Slapped it in there, top corner. And Leeds fully deserved it. The energy that Leeds had in that game, really putting it on Chelsea, wasn't allowing them to play their game and settle on the ball and causing Chelsea to make a lot of mistakes. 2 of the Chelsea Leeds goals came from Chelsea errors. And again, like I said, the pressure of having these young players and the pressure of any team can feel now at Chelsea. If you go at Chelsea, you got a good chance of getting 3 points. So Leeds going there, well, at home managing to get that point. Estavio, young baller that we've been raving about, came off the bench, didn't really have an impact on the game for Chelsea as we would have expected him to. And Palmer being back wasn't really involved in the game either. So, interesting times for Chelsea. I did say consistency is going to be a big thing. Let's see how they carry on moving on into the season. And like I said on this thing, don't forget to follow us on our socials. We're doing the preview and the roundup because as you can see, had games midweek and we're going straight to games on the weekend, so I want to cram it all into one so I can give you guys all a little bit more. So if I'm talking back and forth about certain other teams, I apologize, but I'm trying to basically fit everybody into that. But yeah, a big shout out to as well to Libby in that game. Really good game that week. Done really well for Leeds in that game. 20 years old, summer signing from French league, I believe, but he's done really well for Newcastle. I mean, for Sunderland. Newcastle fans wouldn't like me saying that, and I want to give a shout out to him as well. But I want to give a shout out to Aston Villa and Brentford game, looking like amazing finish there from what's his face, Kamara in the midweek, and Aston Villa looking like the little silent dark horses when it comes to them in the league this season. Didn't have the greatest of starts, but slowly but surely creeping up into the higher echelons of the table. And we look to like some Marlin, he really looks like a player, the Holland forward, and they're looking like they maybe can be challenging for a Champions League spot. Obviously, this season they're in the Europa League, but with the signings and the quality they got, and I feel with a lot of teams, I feel like January transfer window is going to be very important. We've got 3 weeks of January transfer window. Don't forget to lock in. I'm going to be giving you guys news on young ballers that are going to be rumored to be transferring from here, there, and everywhere. But like I said, the January transfer is going to be very interesting because with the AFCON coming up as well, I think Chelsea, Villa have a few players as well. I think Onana will be going there as well to the African Cup of Nations. So no, actually he's Belgium, isn't he? My bad. But yeah, I'm sure they have a few players in the squad that will be going there as well. But it's going to be very interesting for the January transfer window, like I said. So for the likes of who was I just mentioned? For the likes of sorry, lost track there. What was I just talking about? Aston Villa, sorry. Yeah, for the likes of Aston Villa, January transfer is going to be very important for them to go in and strengthen in the market. But going into the game on the weekends as well, we got Manchester City versus Sunderland, 2 big teams that we just spoke about, 2 teams coming off the back of a victory. And I think, before we move on to that game as well, Arsenal, 2-0 victory against Brentford, a game that I thought that was going to be very difficult for Arsenal and Arteta because of Thiago, who is a beast, second top goal scorer in the Premier League, absolutely destroying it. Arsenal, disappointing result against Chelsea midweek, with Chelsea going down to on the weekend, with Chelsea going down to 10 men. But Arsenal came back. Good performance. Was really on Brentford. Created a lot of chances. Saka with a assist and a goal, stepping up, getting his numbers up, really performing, starting to shake off maybe the little doubters and getting the critics off his back a little bit. But a good win for Arsenal, continuing their stampede on the Premier League, I should say. But now 5 points clear again after Chelsea losing. But yeah, as I said, Chelsea, Manchester City versus Sunderland, big midweek game. Two teams in form. Manchester City winning their game, scrappy little game. But we know Sunderland, one of the teams out of the three promoted teams that are performing the best this season, and it's going to be interesting with the likes of, I said, there's Talibi, who I think has been really, really good for Sunderland on the wing. I feel like it's going to be a very interesting game. Sunderland are definitely going to feel like they're confident and going to give themselves a chance, considering their performance and Manchester City's performance against Fulham and how they was able to concede 3 goals from being 5-1 up down and also looking like they could possibly lose the game. So in that game, I'm expecting a tight one, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sunderland says this wins the game. I know I say that, but this season, especially as I mentioned, is very, very, very competitive. And with Manchester City, they're frailties. It looks like at the back they could leak 1-2 goals. So I wouldn't be surprised if a draw, but you know what? I am going to say Manchester City win it, and I do think Haaland, him scoring again, opening the goal for Manchester City against Fulham, I do believe that he's going to carry on with this form, and that will be the difference for me in this game when it comes to Sunderland versus Manchester City on the weekend. Another big game, Aston Villa versus Arsenal, two teams again who I just mentioned who are in terrific form, and Arsenal go away to Villa at the Birmingham ground, and I feel like Arsenal, this is the type of game that they're really, really going to want to win because, again, it's a statement. They've had a little wobble. Arteta is going to want to say that my team is ready and we're here and we're going to go and win this title. And with the January transfer window, going to keep bringing it up, going to be very, very important. With Arsenal got a lot of players coming back, I feel like the January transfer window is not a window that Arsenal are going to indulge in, but with the likes of Aston Villa, I said, I feel like this game is a game that they're going to want to get the victories over the line so they can go into the January transfer window with a strong position, because again, a lot of the players that you do want to sign, you want to be giving them attractive positions with European and Champions League football at the disposal. So big game, 2 teams in form. Emery going back to his old club as well. Want to be putting a marker on them, and a player to be watching is Bukayo Saka seems to be getting in a little bit of form and maybe can be the difference in this game, as he is such a vital component for Arsenal. If they want to go on and win this title, he's really, really got to start stepping up and getting into the mix of it. And again, another big game, Leeds versus Liverpool. I didn't mention Liverpool in the roundup. They drew 1-1. Little bit of stumbling block there, not really looking advertising Liverpool, and I've kind of written off Liverpool this season with that game as well, and that's what I kind of feel. That's where Liverpool are now. They're not really there. I feel like they're gonna have a say in the title race. I do see as well them having a decent. I do see them having a decent run in the Champions League, but I do think in the league, I think the main objective for Liverpool this season will be getting Champions League football at least. But I do think they're totally out of the title race. Leeds again could be another team that can inflict some pain on Slot and his men, and it's going to be a difficult one for Liverpool. I think it's going to be a season where they're going to have to ride it out, and they're just going to have to really fight for that Champions League position. But it's going to be a big game to watch, because if Leeds do get another L on Slot's back, then it could be big question marks for the January transfer window. But at this age, Liverpool, again, like Arsenal, maybe not going to be one of them teams to dive in there, considering how much money they have spent on players already this season. Over, I think it's scaring off to £500 million Liverpool spent, but Slot will still question marks will be asked. I've repeated it many times. I do think the owners are going to give him a bye, but we are in a results business, and if you do continue losing, then the pressure is always on. And like I've been saying in the last couple pods, is that videos, whatever you guys want to call it, is that the season starts now. Everything starts now. Every 3 points, every performance from this moment forward is vital, because we would expect everyone to be at a level that's performing, that you can go and get a good performance at your team and ultimately get 3 points. And with the FA Cup coming up, like I said, I think it starts a little bit later this year. Champions League reaching the knockout stages, and the Premier League obviously formulating in terms of the winners Champions League spots, Europa and Conference League. It's going to be, every game's going to be interesting. And another interesting component in this factor is the African Cup of Nations. We can watch the African Cup of Nations free on Channel 4 for people that don't know. It's going to be free on Channel 4 this year. I'm definitely going to be watching that and giving you guys a little bit of commentary and watching the young ballers in that competition. And this is going to be a very, very big component for a lot of teams. And are we going to see teams take the risk and run with their squad and put a lot of academy players into their team, which I do expect, but at the same time, with the law of the Champions League and how important it is for the PSR, which PSR is changing actually. So maybe it might not be a big concern for a lot of teams because PSR is actually changing this, I think it's next season, where I'll explain all that later, but it's not, you can spend a little bit more now, you have a bit more freedom. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the pressure of getting Champions League or European football might not be as much for clubs anymore. But nevertheless, every club doesn't want to be getting in the biggest and highest competition. So it's going to see interesting to see how teams, managers, and owners assess this whole conundrum with AFCON, top players going, the importance of getting these 3 points, the quality that's needed. And January transfer window is always hard because not every player is available on the market that you want. And if they are, and if the club is willing to say them, they are going to put an inflated price on there. But we have seen many, many times, especially the likes of Bruno Fernandes, there is gems that you can get out there in the January transfer window. Evra was bought in the January transfer window. Who else was bought in the January transfer window? It's quite a few decent. Van Dijk to Liverpool was bought in the January transfer window. So the January transfer window can be very effective if you get the right player. So it's going to be interesting to see how the teams formulate that going into the thing. And for Chelsea on the weekend, they got Bournemouth. Big game against Bournemouth. Areola, maybe a manager that might be touted for the Chelsea job if Enzo don't really get right, doing amazing for Bournemouth. Lots of players coming in and out of the club, still managing to get a consistency of performance. Has got maybe one of the players of the league who, speaking about the January transfer window, has got a £65 million release clause that a lot of clubs are looking interested in. Chelsea may be one of them clubs, or maybe not, considering his age. I think he might be too old for the Chelsea model. But other clubs like Manchester United, Liverpool, even clubs abroad, looking and diving into that contract in terms of that release clause and seeing if they can get Semenyo, who I believe, if anyone who, whatever team gets Semenyo, whether it's Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City, or a team abroad, I thought develops your squad. He gets into a lot of first team 11s, and for Chelsea, going to be a big threat for Chelsea on the weekend. But Bournemouth do have a lot of threats with Clivert, with Colprey. They do have a lot of an attacking threat. Everdilson, I think he's injured. I think he might closely be coming back. But we've seen Bournemouth this season, and we've seen how impressive they are. And for Chelsea, where Maresca losing 2 games on the bounce, it's a lot of pressure is going to be put on. And when I feel like with a lot of pressure with these young kids, you can get it can get real scary. So Chelsea are going to want to bounce back quick because they know the effect that made this 2 defeats on a row could have for them. Spurs to Brentford again. Team that I forgot to mention against Newcastle midweek. Going to be a big game for them against Brentford, losing both teams not managed to get the victory. So he's going to want, both teams are going to want to win. Brentford is going to be a hard team. Arsenal did make it look easy for them. And again, another thing we're going to see, maybe we're going to start seeing the lesser teams dropping off. We talk about the big teams, we're always focusing on the top teams. But now we've seen a lot of good teams with the likes of Bournemouth, I said, the likes of Sunderland, the likes of Brighton, even Aston Villa, not as little, but teams that maybe after this stop period might start dropping down, as we can start looking at the table with a bit more truth. But it's going to be important to see how these lesser teams deal with it as well, because a lot of these players as well, the players that they have, will be players that will be going to the AFCON and Nations, a very, very big component. But yeah, before we wrap it up, guys, because I know I've been here yapping for time. I know it was a quick one today. Obviously, Man United, stressing me out. So, but I always make sure I get the content out for you guys as well. I appreciate you guys looking into the socials. Make sure you're looking into the socials. We've got something coming. If you guys know, been locked into the show for a couple of years. Obviously, I did have a long break, but now I'm back. But if you did look into it when I was doing it before a couple of years ago, you will know what we normally do around this time. So if you ain't locked in, you want to get locked in now so you don't miss out what's coming up. And yes, I've got a lot more content for you guys coming up. I'm not just going to be sitting there chatting on the screen, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to be outside. I'm going to be getting interactive. I'm going to be chatting to you guys as well. And I'm going to be interacting with you guys. I've got a lot of things coming up over the Christmas time and going into the new year, guys. But yes, before we wrap it up, Brentford versus West Ham. West Ham, again, good victory. Good draw against Manchester United today with a late goal. Nuno and his men looking quite strong. But again, Brighton looking strong underneath their new manager. Really looking like he's getting a tune out of the team. Been topsy-turvy, but as you can see with how the table is this stage of the season, 2 victories on the bounce could put you very, very high on the table, and 2 defeats can bring you very, very low on the table. So with West Ham not really getting out of the relegation zone with that draw, they're definitely going to want to go to the Amex Stadium and get themselves a victory. Fulham versus Crystal Palace, West London derby. Fulham, again, amazing performance against Manchester City. Wasn't really able to get a point or the 3 points over there, losing the game. Crystal Palace, obviously issues with the manager, form, obviously the unbeaten run got by Manchester United. Difficult game again in the midweek. I do think they might have some issues over the next couple of times. I feel like the manager, especially with the January transfer window coming up, did make some noise that they didn't go into that window. So we might see some issues there because the manager's contract is up in the summer. So obviously Crystal Palace in a very, very good position right now on the table, in the top half of the table. But the manager did come out and say that he wasn't happy with the summer, felt that the money should be put on the squad and not kept into the club. But maybe that's a difficult one with an ambitious manager. We want to achieve and get certain things, but where a small club like Crystal Palace are, maybe they'll have the capabilities to go out there and spend and take risk on a lot of players to get that continuity with a team that's not automatically always guaranteed a European football. But as you can see with a manager like Glasner, who is very passionate and feels that ambitious and passionate and feels that his team can get in them positions, would want his ownership to start investing in the squad. So yes, it's going to be an interesting week over the interesting period over the next couple of weeks, with a lot of games coming thick and fast. We all know how it is in the festive period, and when we come out of the January window period, we're really going to be getting to the business end of the season. So guys, like I said, thank you for locking in. Lock into all our socials, subscribe, hit that bell. You really don't want to miss what we got coming up. Yeah, you guys are really going to like what we got coming up. So make sure you guys are locked in. Let's go, buddy. I see you guys soon.